All right, sir.
Are we going?
Let's go. What do you think?
Are you recording?
Camera's running. Microphones are running.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers. Clink. Tell me about Hamel Jiu-Jitsu. Jump right in.
All right. Well, it's kind of a story that started a while ago after I started to really get into jiu-jitsu. I mean, I think I was on your episode probably maybe a year or two or something when you were doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked me if I'd ever wanted a gym. And I said, yeah, at some point I want to do it. But I, at some point in the future that I hadn't, long after I'd figured jiu-jitsu out, right?
So to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this last year, a friend of mine had talked about buying the space that we're in right now, and as part of it, he wanted me to run a jiu-jitsu gym out of it. And at that time, I was like, I didn't like the space. It was I have no imagination for this stuff, and this place was kind of a disaster.
It's hard to picture that stuff.
Yeah.
You see a big cube of a building, you're like, what?
I don't see how it works.
For sure.
So I didn't like the building, and my own development for jiu-jitsu, I didn't feel like I was ready to start a gym, especially not coaching full time and stuff like that. So we talked a little bit, and he said he was going to get the building either way.
This building, not the previous place.
Not the previous. That one had already been there.
Oh, that's interesting.
So then, after a while, he's like he just said, you don't have to like go full out on a gym. You could just like make it casual, make it kind of fun, and not do a couple days a week. So that sounded interesting to me because I was already not training on Tuesdays and Thursdays at M Theory. So I thought, hey, I got some friends here that have been interested in jiu-jitsu. They're not going to travel. I've tried to get them to. I said, hey, I'll just bring them up to our previous location, which was basically a shed in downtown Hamel, which you obviously had been there before.
There's great romance there, even though it wasn't there for a long time.
Right.
I love those simple, rustic spots.
I know. So. There's times I miss it, and I'm going to miss it more in the summertime with having the door open training.
For sure.
So a couple friends, I kind of started it, didn't really promote it much, eventually started an Instagram, told a few people about it, and then a few people showed up, but that was kind of it for a long time. Didn't really bring in a lot of new members. I think the max we ever had there was like 6 people, and then a handful of M Theory people who lived in the area would come train with us once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just kind of waiting out for this building to get finished, and had seen drawings of what it was going to look like and started to kind of get a little more excited, once I had a kind of an idea of what it would be.
Could feel real.
Yeah, exactly. So as it started to get closer, then I kind of got a little more serious about, what the idea of the Hamel Jiu-Jitsu Club would be. And I wanted to, start growing it. So called up Ishmael and asked him just for his advice on, obviously he's done this. He started a gym, super successful. Asked him what he thought about it. Give me some ideas. I asked like what his opinion on who I should bring in as a coach. And he was great. He gave me a lot of time, gave me a lot of ideas. And still somebody I can ask ideas for, like for promotion and just general, the blocking and tackling of running a gym, which is really nice to have that resource. But he recommended, he said two people who'd be really, really great as coaches would be Marcus and Drake, Marcus Bedore and Drake Roth. Marcus obviously has continued to take on a bigger role at M Theory. And so, and Drake also is coaching at M Theory, but, so he was kind of the guy I targeted and, reached out to him when I was kind of at the point where I knew we had enough members here that, we could kind of, I didn't want to hire a coach and have him show up and have only 2 people
right.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then wouldn't it not even sustainably, you need a certain membership base to be able to pay the guy.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
heaven's sake, if nothing else.
Right. Yeah. We can kind of go in the red for a little while, but this is a kind of a side venture for me. I still have a real job. So
unfortunate.
I know. So reached out to Drake, and before Ishmael had even told me that, Drake and Marcus were the two guys I had thought about. I mean, it's obvious, to anybody that knows both of those guys. They're really passionate about the sport. It rubs off on the people who they train with and who they teach. And obviously they're both killers. They're both super technical.
Well, if nothing else, that you've spent a couple years or more vetting each of them as a coach, at least personally. You've been exposed to their coaching style and whatever for a long time. So even if you're wrong, it at least matches current preferences, right? So bring them in. Let's go.
Yeah. So when Drake and I talked, it was really an exciting conversation for me because he kind of shared a lot of the ideas that I had for, how I want the gym to be. Like, if anybody's seen our social media, or kind of the way we portray ourselves, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We like to have fun. And that's how I want the gym to be. That's part of what I want the DNA to be, is that not taking ourselves too seriously and having fun with it. And, just giving people an opportunity to do jiu-jitsu in a place where, it's a great group of people that they learn the specifics of jiu-jitsu, but the community around it is important to me. And that's, what I had at M Theory. That's what we have at M Theory. And it's something that's important to me. If I'm going to start a gym here, I want that here as well.
Yeah, same kind of friendly vibe. So what is the current available schedule of stuff?
So right now we do, we have classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. On Friday, we have what we call our breakfast club at 6:30 a.m. We used to call it coffee and a roll, but now we have a corporate tea sponsor so we switched our preference to tea instead of coffee. Yeah. This is tea right
here. Our coffee.
Hot tea right here.
Whoops.
Fresh steeps. So that's Friday morning, 6:30 a.m. That's been a fun addition. A lot of people like to get their training out of the way early on Friday morning.
Yeah, I was super excited. Any availability of anything anywhere at like an early morning, I was like, yes. Of course, then as we previously talked about, I had clients be like, "Hey, can we train Friday?" So it blew the whole thing for me. But
you lost that
still nice. Yeah, still nice to have the option once in a while, I suppose.
It's funny. Your clients want the morning training for the same reason you want.
Yeah, man, get it out of the way. That's exactly right. That's the tricky thing with that industry, is you end up working when you'd otherwise be doing stuff. Yeah. Anyway,
right. So that's Friday, and then Saturday we have class at 9 a.m. That's a new class that we just started in the new year. And we have then we have an open mat on Sunday at 9 a.m. like you saw earlier today.
Mm-hmm. What else is going on here? What are the other things in the connection to Wayzata and whatnot?
Yeah. So I'll just give you a little backstory on why Derek started this. Derek and I have been friends for, I don't know, like 15 years or so. I used to be the board member. I was the vice president and youth coach for the Wayzata Youth Wrestling Club. I'd coach the youth during the winter season, and then I'd coach freestyle Greco in the off season. And out of the blue one day, he called me. I didn't know him from Adam, and he wanted to get his son into wrestling, and he said he had done it when he was a kid a little bit, but he thought it would be really good for his son who had some, maybe some social connection issues, and was thinking that wrestling might be a good option, physical and, one-on-one and stuff like that. So his son started, and for the first 2 years, he was just kind of, he was there. His parents got him there. I don't know that he liked it very much. And then out of the blue, one tournament, he just started beating people, like everybody. Like something clicked, and he just became really good.
Fabulous.
So he went through, he just continued to get better and better and better. He went through all of his high school career, lost a heartbreaking match in the state finals his senior year to a kid he had beaten many times, and ended up at North Dakota State this last year. So he's wrestling at North Dakota State right now as a true freshman. He made the varsity. He's beaten, I think, 2 ranked guys already, and he's ranked in the top 30 in the country. Anyways, it's a really cool story for me because I've got to see the kid from the very beginning,
right,
and just watch him blossom as a person, as a human, but his dad is that connection to wrestling, and he's seen how valuable that was for his son. He wanted to give something back to the wrestling community. So part of building this was to set up a space, like a place where people could relax, they could get a workout in, they could use the mat to drill or to do training sessions, ad hoc training sessions. And he wanted to give that back to the wrestling community, and because it had done so much for him, which is, it's pretty cool. And the wrestling club loves it. They use it all the time. There's during the winter break, there was college kids in here that had wrestled at Wayzata that were in here training or using the weights, or there's high school kids in here nonstop upstairs getting a workout in, getting a sweat in, or drilling on the mats. And then the youth use it a lot too. So it's a really nice space for everybody.
Describe the features of this place. Kind of like walk me through a hypothetical tour here. Yeah.
So you come into a little lounge area through the front door, in which you can kind of see behind us. There's a large sectional, a large TV behind me that we can watch wrestling matches, jiu-jitsu matches on. The table we're sitting at is a large conference room table that the youth wrestling board uses for their meetings. So on one Wednesday night a week, they meet here and do their business, which is a nice place because it's nice to have for the board, because they've never had a consistent place. They used to meet at Lund's, or sometimes at a bar, or sometimes at somebody's.
Go to a YMCA and sit in their like conference room or whatever.
Exactly. So this is nice to have a permanent place. And then upstairs we have a mezzanine level that has a lot of really nice fitness equipment. It's got 3 lifting. I guess I'm not really a lifting person. So what are those big squat stations, or
a squat rack, or lifting platform? Probably a full setup with the platform in front of the rack and all that.
Yeah. So they've got 3 lifting platforms, all of the dumbbells you'd need, some torture device machine that I'm not sure what it is. Like I said, I'm not.
We'll check it out. I'll give you a name to call it.
Yeah, name it for me.
Yeah.
There's an area where you can do some yoga. There's a 10x10 sectional mat up there. You can do private lessons if the wrestling mat is taken. So if somebody wanted to either drill or do a private lesson with somebody, there's space for that.
Oh, that gets you out of the way of the guys rolling or doing the actual live training downstairs. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Nice.
And and then there's some cardio equipment. There's a Peloton. There's a treadmill. There's some other things up there that
I'm not very familiar with that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not either. I stay away from all of it as much as possible. And then there's a Sightline wall that you can kind of see over. You can look over and watch the training on the mat, which is a nice feature too.
Yeah. Let you keep an eye on stuff as a coach.
Yeah.
Without like being up in the grill, see what happens naturally. I sort of like that kind of. You can observe it but be removed.
Yep. A lot of parents, when their kids are down there, like to sit up there, and if they want to lift, they can do that, or if they want to just watch, they can. There's some chairs set up. So then on the main level, we've got a couple bathrooms down here, some offices, a kitchen that has a fridge and a sink and some filtered water. And then beyond that, there's like what I call the DMZ, which is like a little area to sit down before you walk out onto the mats.
The DMZ. Fabulous. That's good branding. It seems like this place as it is would be the goal. Like if we go back to when I asked you if you're going to have a gym, and I said, okay, really imagine it. Tell me what you'd want.
Yeah.
Is this roughly what it would be?
Exactly. I mean, no place is perfect, right?
For sure.
Like I want a washer and dryer.
Pretty
here.
Damn close.
But there isn't space for a washer and dryer, so, but I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah.
So right. That's, it's a minor
Like even if you didn't have a weight room, still great place to train wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Whatever, close enough.
Right.
You know, plus all is how nice the whole place looks and everything.
Right. And for me personally, I just need a clean place, you know, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
But to bring people in, I think it needs to, it doesn't need to, it's helpful. It's helpful to have a really nice feel, comfortable, looks nice.
What's the goal? Acknowledging what I just asked you, like this is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But where does it go?
Yeah. For me personally, I want to build up the membership. You know, I don't have aspirations to have hundreds of students and multiple locations and stuff like that. You know, maybe at some point, but I want to build up the student base so that it's, you know, pretty sustainable. You know, long term, I'd like to have Drake more involved. So somebody that I haven't mentioned who's kind of been with me from the beginning is Aaron Benish, call him Benny. He was really excited when we started out of the shed because he'd kind of gone through some health issues. He trained at Akagi for a long time, but he was trying to deal with his health, and the drive down to Akagi through traffic was kind of difficult for him. He's actually a second grade teacher at Wayzata.
Okay.
And so he would train with us once in a while, and sometimes I'd just have him teach because he's very technical and he's a really good instructor. Like he's good at communicating, and so I asked him if he wanted to teach one night a week. So he started taking one night a week, and he actually coaches on Wednesday for me. He'll do no-gi because he's a little bit of a savage that way.
That's what he likes.
So, but he's been.
He posted a picture, might have been one of mine that I snagged here of him, and it was like the last time you'll see me in a gi. And
exactly.
Everybody thought that meant I'm done with jiu-jitsu, but it just meant he was done putting on the gi.
Right. He's told me that many times, but I think we'll get him back in it at some point.
It's how addictions work very often.
Plus, as he gets as he gets older, he's gonna see the value of holding on to these young bucks by
once his kids start catching up to him. How about that?
Right. There you go. But you know, he's been fantastic. But back to I'm not trying to sidestep your goal question.
Do it all. Go.
So I want to get it sustainable, so that we're paying the bills. I have the coaches. I'd like to expand to a full schedule. I'd like to have class every day, Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday just be the open mat.
Yeah.
And my hope is that the first half of this year I add a kids program. That's kind of going to be a big step for me right now. It's not so much, the kids program is kind of twofold. One, I think it's a great opportunity for kids that live in this area to have a place to train, but also a place where we can kind of draw their parents in as well. And there's been people who've reached out that say, hey, they want to do jiu-jitsu, but they want to do it in a place where their kids can train too. And I totally get that. But I think with a kids program, if I start a kids program, or when I do, I think I want to be a little more serious about it, and probably on the kids level, make it a little more competitive. We have kind of the wrestling pedigree here already, and I'd like to take advantage of that, and kind of build the kids program into more of a, less about a daycare center and more about, and trust me, those are great, and kids need something to do.
Absolutely.
I'm not as interested in it.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this because I like it. I don't want to start a kids program to make money. I want to do it to have fun. And if for me, having fun would be having a kids program where they're very competitive. We're doing tournaments. And I know that will limit the types of kids and the amount of kids, but I'm fine with it because that's what I want to do.
Well, is it kind of infusing wrestling culture, wrestling mindset into the kids jiu-jitsu program more?
Yep, exactly.
Do you think it'd be much crossover? I mean, that's another layer is, okay, if I got these young kids in here for wrestling stuff, we can light the BJJ flame for them too.
Yeah, I think there will be some. It's
yeah, keep going.
There will be some, but I think it's going to be limited. Like so the kids that are all in on wrestling, they're definitely not going to be doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just
too strong a cult of its own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only
Which is good.
You can only be in one cult, or drink the Kool-Aid at one cult.
Yeah.
So, and I wouldn't want to take them away from like spring training or the spring season or the summer season or whatever.
Right.
But there are kids who like to do wrestling 3 months a year, and those would be great.
Or like the kid that's in wrestling because he's kind of supposed to. Dad did it, but he's not really into the vibe. We get a little taste of this, and that's more his speed or something.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thought on that. We'll see. I might adjust as we go, but that's kind of what I'm looking at doing. Right. And I think it would be fun to have, a competitive. I think it would be fun to have a competitive kids program. I think it would be fun to coach. I think it would be fun to just watch them develop.
You coach that?
I think I will to start. I don't know that I always will, but I think I probably will to start. It's kind of the way I do things. I bootstrap it by doing it myself to figure out how it works and then figure out what it needs after that. Yeah. If I understand how it works and I know it, like I can't bring to it, then I can bring in the right person.
Yeah. And then you bring them in on a better platform.
Exactly.
Versus like, I'm figuring this out. Good luck.
Yeah. You figure it out now.
Yeah. Right.
And I kind of do that with kind of everything that I do with it.
And that's kind of a take ownership thing right up front too. It's my thing. Let me try to build it until I know better.
Yep, exactly. And if I'm going to stumble, I'll do it myself. And
rather than letting other people fall. I dig it.
Yeah.
What else should we say about this joint? This whole thing? What else you got?
Well, it's a nice area of Plymouth. If anybody ever wants to come check it out, our motto is everyone's welcome. So it's like I said earlier, we try to have as much fun as possible, and if we're doing that, then we're doing it right. So we're happy to have people from other gyms come visit us. We like the kind of the mix that happens when we get a good group of cross mix of people from a lot of different places. So
it's almost invaluable in my opinion. Everybody's habits and patterns and blind spots are what they are. So once you mix it up, that's when you find out what the new answers are.
Right.
Cool, brother.
And it's good for our existing members, our existing members to be exposed to, people who have been doing it a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Sounds so nice, phrased that way. Getting choked out by people you've never met is what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. All right, brother. Good. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and having me on your podcast.
Yeah, brother.